I don't think it's any secret, my fascination with collaborations. One of these days, I'm dreaming about a gathering, like Ron Connolly, that has all these steel pan and the guitars and the best singers, the brass instruments, the best of everybody, and just come together and have the grandest praise and worship session. But until then, we can do it like this.
Yeah, yeah. This one is for all the people who love the Lord, yeah. This world could never give me peace, but God, please you give me inside. Oh Jesus, and your name is a refuge from all of my enemies. I hide in you, so I will dance. Ooh, 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 ooh. Lift my hands. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Now you're gonna do. Let everything that has breath. If you're breathing in and out, let everything that has breath. Open up your mouth. Let everything that has breath. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Watch me now. We know that creation awaits for your sons and daughters to arise. King Yeshua, and we wanna see your glory really like we never seen before. It's time for you, so we will dance. Lift your hands. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And now you're gonna do. Let everything that has breath. All the nations of the world. Let everything that has breath. Everybody in the world. Let everything that has breath. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Hey, what's been now? I was you with my sword and shield. You meet my every need. This kind of joy I feel it, the kind of makes all the wounds them heal. You are the matchless king, and so Jesus, you're everything. Not a light drain away from the worship that we gon' bring us. Don't care what we go through, we are on and I say, oh. Sunshine and love, I still can't find a man who do the things you do. The lover of my soul, Yeshua, you're so much more. We make a joyful noise for the one that we adore. Let everything that has breath, play the instruments unto the Lord. Let everything that has breath, we sing the one of God. Let everything that has breath, oh, 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 oh. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Come on, sing it again, sing it again. Let everything that has breath, hey, all the nations round about. Everything that has breath, when that open up your mouth. Let everything that has breath, oh, 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 oh. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise.
I don't think it's any secret, my fascination with collaborations. One of these days, I'm dreaming about a gathering, like Ron Connolly, that has.
All right,
the
so
best of
good night,
everybody.
Guyana, and welcome to episode 9 of Common Sense. And tonight I have in studio with me international recording gospel artist Samuel Madas. Good night, Sammy.
Good night, sir.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. And I want to encourage all of Guyana to share the live stream with your friends and with your family. Bring as many persons on as possible as we discuss the music business and how Guyanese creatives can maximize their revenues and profits from the creative arts industry. And I think we have the perfect person here tonight to give us some insight and some advice. Every time we check Samuel Madas' page on Facebook, it's a different country he's traveling to, doing some massive shows, and it's great to see a Guyanese artist expanding his horizon on a yearly basis, continues to improve and get better. So I want to encourage all of our local artists, creatives, regardless of whether you're a musician, spoken word, poet, whatever it is you're doing in the creative field, log in and come get some common sense tonight. So, Sammy, since I was a young boy, I've been following your music, and the growth is visible, it's known, it's seen. Can you share a bit about where you started in music and how you've been able to transition to where you are now?
I've been doing music since I was a child. Before I knew that I could have done music for a livelihood and as a career, um, the camera girl I went to UG, the camera girl that they can't see right now. That was a weird point for me because it was at that stage that year 2010 2011. I really wanted music more than anything else. I was going to UG then, and I quit UG for it. um, it was like one of them leapfrog moves. You just jump off and hope that you grow wings on your way down. Um, but I had made some moves earlier that I didn't know at the time it was the right move. Like I would always record stuff and put it out on the internet. That was long before um, Facebook had videos up. It was just pictures and you could upload audio. So I was slowly building a fan base then, trying to hold my events leading up. Even though the events probably had 50 people, 100 people, but I was slowly building a community. So when I did decide that I wanted to be a solo artist, I kind of had a following already, and I built on that. It's been quite a journey of successes, failures, fall down, learn, get up back. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Beautiful. And you mentioned that you started before, social media really exploded.
Yeah.
Do you think that many of our creatives locally and throughout the Caribbean, because especially those coming up now, and we live in a kind of a microwave generation whereby we love instant success, we love things fast. You kind of had to work a few years in the dark before you came to the light in such a prominent manner. How important it is to stay the course and not just join the towel because you don't see instant success.
That's all that matters. It's just the consistency and to not to make hunger decisions. And even though and a lot of people who look at me now, they look at me and say, "Oh, yeah, Sammy's successful." But from my standpoint, I'm still in the season of investment.
Okay.
The season of building, because when you reach the point that you thought success was, you look and you see there's somebody more successful. It's just the consistency. Even in the pandemic, I was consistent. As a matter of fact, my social media grew like 5 or 6 times what it was.
Every night.
Yeah. There are some people who, like I was thinking about today, every time somebody sees me, they ask me, "So where dropping next?" There are some artists, some people who want to do music, then when people see them, people can't ask them what's dropping next because they're not consistent with it. So people don't expect anything from them. And we're talking money tonight.
Yeah.
You have to build value. And if you don't build value, then you can't negotiate and you can't bargain from a hilltop. You have to take what you get because you don't build value. You don't add value to yourself. You're not constantly putting yourself out there, and you're not putting yourself out there in a meaningful and in a thoughtful and in an intentional way. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely. And on some of my previous shows, I've used your career as an example.
Yeah.
Because from the sidelines, I watch whether it be somebody in the creative field, in the sports, and there are young people out there analyzing lives and seeing decisions and seeing things that are made, and you can see why somebody is where they are at on the good side, and you can also see why somebody is where they are on the bad side. You've built a massive digital presence, social media presence, which, in my view, has also propelled some of your success. There are many Guyanese artists. They may have a Facebook or IG account, but you don't hear from them unless they come in to drop a new song. There's otherwise nothing.
Or abuse.
Yeah. About the government or the private sector or whatever it is.
I just left it at or abuse. Or abuse.
How important it is to have a digital presence to be a successful artist in these times.
Yeah. A digital presence is the present and it's the future of everything. Radio's big. Social media is bigger.
Definitely.
Um, and I always tell people the excuses for you not getting your music out there are getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. Because I mean, people complain that the radio stations not playing their music or whatever. You could build an audience for yourself that you get to control and you get to interact with, even in a better way than radio could ever do. You get on your guitar or whatever, you go on Facebook Live, you post every day. You learn the algorithms of
Definitely.
having a presence, when to post, what time to post, when are people most online, you know, what is the kind of content that people will interact with, and even some level of vulnerability as an artist, because that's the world that we live in is a world that sees quickly through fakeness, and
Definitely.
they don't connect with that, but the vulnerability, you have to show up. You have to show up, because if the only time you show up is when you drop in a song, then nobody pays attention to you, even if your thing is good.
Yeah. And at this point, I, I, I've compared you to Drake. Um, I know you might not want to hear that. Of course, the comparison comes in the line of the level of consistency. You know, I think it was early 2011, 2012 when Drake really burst on the scene. And
Yeah.
we basically had an album almost every year. In the years we didn't have an album, had about 20 features
Yeah.
on massive songs that
Fact.
kept him in the on the airwaves, even though he wasn't dropping a solo album. Consistency as an artist, I think, is very, very important. And many Guyanese artists, I don't think they understand the level of finance that they can make, the level of money that they can make from the music industry. You know, they try to relegate themselves to just gigs from the government or
Yeah.
so forth. So, what would you advise our artists watching to help them to understand the potential in terms of revenues that they can earn from doing music, and not just limit themselves to, oh, the ministry is launching a new road, you get a gig, or you know, Independence Day, you get a gig, and that's it.
Yeah. You got to see yourself as a product. And I don't really talk about this because the circle that I roll in, the Christian circle, which finances should be talked about and stuff should be talked, is not really talked about. But you have to see yourself as a product, and you have to treat yourself as a product, a multifaceted product. For a number of years, we've talked about copywriting in Guyana. And I know you probably want to ask me about copyright down the road.
Yeah.
Copyright is a very minuscule thing in comparison to what we call publishing. Copywriting is just having your stuff registered with a body that protects what you create. But nobody wants to steal what you create unless your stuff is good. So that's just part of it. Publishing, on the other hand, is getting what you have created into the right platforms that people could consume it, and you can make money, you can make revenue. A lot of the artists put out music, and it will trend on social media. It will trend on YouTube for a couple days, a couple weeks, and then they get nothing from it because they don't put their music on iTunes, Spotify, CD Baby, Shazam, Tidal, YouTube Music. That's where the money comes from. You understand? Because the algorithms work in our favor sometimes. You don't. First of all, okay, let me go this way. One, you can get money from YouTube. Then if you want, we can go into that as to how to set up a YouTube, or maybe do another live at another time in another forum. I was at a conference in Trinidad last month. And I am a person that's always looking for avenues and ways that I could bring in money without having to work, get money from what I've already created. And I'm sitting in this conference and I'm hearing about sites, and I'm hearing about societies that go and get royalties from you from different places, from ads, from people who play music in the background on some live or something. And I'm blown away that even me, that always going and looking for avenues that I could bring in money, there's so many different avenues. And Guyanese artists have not tapped into that as yet. More than that, when I said that you have to make yourself a product, you can make money from more things than just performing.
Yeah.
You, when you make yourself a product and you have a following, you get merch. Now, I found out a couple years ago that Justin Bieber doesn't even make the majority of his money from the music because there are too many hands inside of that.
Yeah.
He makes his money not even from the shows that he's being paid to perform at. He makes his money from the merch. Because when you make yourself a product that people want to be associated with, and you make yourself quality, you put out something, people feel that they want to be connected with you through your stuff. So, and that's why I like Jackie Jacks. A piece of time she was firing like crazy because she had her designs on her t-shirts and everybody rocking it. Like it was so genius. And she makes sure that certain people rock it. And then when they buy it, she makes sure she took a picture with them. So even if you don't like Jackie, you like this person buy it, so you can go and get it.
Yeah.
Right? You make yourself marketable even off stage so that you get endorsements from different companies. You do advertisement. Listen, there are so many ways. There's no room for complaining.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you went into different revenue streams that persons can make from their creative geniusness. Now, endorsements, sponsorship as an artist is also a major revenue stream. But like you mentioned, you have to be somebody of value and also market yourself as a valuable product. I know for my podcast, I have sponsors.
Yeah.
I have an event coming up.
Plug.
Economy on the 24th of June at the Marriott Hotel. But I could remember when I started my first event last year, I had to call lots of people for sponsorship. Now I'm getting calls for sponsorship.
Yeah.
As of today, somebody called me, hey, where's the package? I want to sponsor. I didn't even reach out to them. How important it is, and people only want to sponsor things of credibility as an artist. So have some level of credibility so that corporate sponsors and corporate Guyana can be comfortable sponsoring you, knowing that, all right, if we throw a $5 million behind you, they won't wake up the next morning and see
you disappear,
some big thing you disappear or migrate or some crazy thing on social media, you know. How important it is to be a credible person in the business.
Yeah. Let's talk about vision. You have to have a vision for your life. Oh, not even for your life, because that's very broad. You have to have a vision for your career. And say, in 5 years, I want to be X place. What do I need to do to be in X place in 5 years? And then you also, on the other side, map out what do I not need to do so that I could get here in 5 years. Which means that if I want to attract certain type of people and certain type of companies that will buy into my thing, then I need to carry myself in a certain way. Case in point, when I started building my fan base over the past 3-4 years, especially because I was showing up online after the pandemic and stuff like that. I don't know if you used to follow my page before. I used to post a bunch of memes and stuff, like funny stuff every single day. But then the type of people that started following me, one, most of them not Guyanese anymore. So I have a larger audience and a more mature audience that is looking for a certain type of content, because during the pandemic I started doing Bible study, singing, just encouragement. So that is why people started following me. Now I had to start tweaking, okay, this is helping me. And I started noticing that even if I post a meme or so, it wouldn't get the kind of reactions that an inspiration thing would get. So I had to start tweaking. And as an artist, if you want certain corporate companies to buy into what you do, you need to tweak what you put out so that they could look at it. Because remember, if you don't have a goal, they definitely have a goal for their company.
Definitely.
And if your thing doesn't play into what they want, then they will not come and they will not invest. The other thing is you need to make enough noise that they will want to come and invest. Certain people, and it's just a law of life, strangers will come and invest and will give to you and to what you are doing when you do it with a certain level of excellence. I remember when a couple years ago, this is after Digicel had signed me for a couple years, and a couple upcoming artists had messaged me saying, yo bro, how do I get Digicel to sign me? I said, bro, you just gotta make enough noise and make the kind of noise that will make Digicel or any other company say, that's the kind of person I want promoting my company. The values, what they, you just have to make enough. Now, Freedom Boss, bro. I look forward to the day when at some point I can open Facebook and see that Freedom Boss either getting an honorary doctorate in marketing or doing a guest lecture at some university, not even in Guyana, because he has mastered the art of showing up.
Definitely.
And connecting with people. He can share a joke and all day, drinks and ice and whatever smoke or whatever is it underneath. And he keeps engaging. And people are looking, and I'm sure that he's getting calls say, yo, what we got to do to buy into this? You have to make yourself marketable as an artist.
Definitely. I'm glad that you brought up Freedom, you know. Just before I came here, I messaged him. Somebody suggested him, you know, to come back on the show because we did a show before. And, you know, people want him back on because there was still so much more that can be discussed. So important to make yourself marketable on somebody that, you know, when I go on Facebook, you want to check this page, you know, see what else, what new is trending or what new has he posted. But I want to segue now into investment and creating a career that outlasts the actual art. Now, you look at sports. LeBron James, for example, he just gets paid $40 million to play a year from his basketball team. But what he makes off the court from various investments that he's made surpasses that by a large margin. Jay-Z hasn't released an album in about 6 years, but yet still is making millions of dollars. Has Samuel Madaz, the artist and man, started to, you know, put your mind on when music finishes, what next? Are there business ideas in the pipeline? You know, you don't have to mention them on air, but have you started to think about after music, what next?
Yeah, I heard you say when music finishes. Music don't finish. We finish. We finish. When you opened the program, you said, I have with me in the studio Samuel Madaz. But we really should tell the people that I am in Samuel Madaz's studio.
Studio 4.
Studio 4.
We are live from Samuel Madaz's studio, just in case I didn't mention that.
Yeah, this is one of my investments. I don't plan to be out of music. Okay. However, I don't plan to be on stage all the time. I plan to go into production and into management. And again, touch on merch. Merch is a big thing and will always be a big thing because of the image, because of the persona, because of the career that I've created for myself. There are a couple other things in the pipeline, just music equipment rental, because I know where Ghana is going to be in the next 5 years, going to be in the next 10 years. We probably have like 10 major shows now. In 5-10 years, Ghana is going to be a hub for a lot of the entertainment. So how do I position myself? They're definitely going to need rental of equipment. They're going to need certain stuff. They're going to need space, band room rental. So this is not just a studio. This is the first half, which is the studio. The other half, which is much larger than this, is the band room. So I plan that when I'm ready to relax, I must have passive income. I must have money coming in, even though I don't want to get up out of my bed 9 o'clock or whatever. And again, the endorsements. You use your influence and the pull, and you become the voice for companies, corporate Guyana, so that, let me talk about this, because we're still talking about investment. There are other ways to invest. I'm probably the only, right now I'm the only Guyanese artist that travels with a band. That is an investment and continues to be an investment. Because I could perform by myself with tracks. But in the long run, people really love live performances more than that. So I have to find a way over the years, and that's going to take too long to explain, but over the years, find a way to get promoters to get me to fly with the band. To the point where now, you can't try booking me without my band. But it's an investment because I have to pay these guys. So that means Right now, I'm not getting the kind of money that I would want to have because I pay my band. But I'm creating value for myself. So down the road, when I sit with a promoter and said, I want $15, and the promoter says I only got 5, I have enough bargaining power to get that $15 because he knows what I bring.
Yeah.
It adds value to me. So I pay the cost now, so down the line. And I talked about making hunger decisions, even for the artists. Now, you have to know your value and bargain from that point of knowing, being honest about what your value is. Not what you think your value is. But if I get booked on a show, I know about 300 people following me to that show. And if I don't go on the show, that promoter only has 20 people there. So now I have a bargaining power. Be honest and bargain from that. And if the promoter or the person trying to book you say, nah, you ain't worth it, it's okay to say, it's cool, bro. Maybe we could work out at the next time we meet. We at a better position where I get to meet your needs, you get to meet mine, and go home and eat your little rice and egg or whatever now. Because you're maintaining your value for the next time. It's an investment. That, for me, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and investment, basically, to sum up what you just said, it's not wrong or it's not bad to sacrifice some immediate benefits for a bigger long-term goal. You know, I can relate to what you just said about investing in your band and not getting what you could actually get right now. You know, for my events, I spend a lot of money on the decor, the stage, the food, the drinks, that I don't really need to, but because I want to, you know, put forth something of excellence, of high quality. And when you do that, when you make those investments early, you reap the rewards in the years to come.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage our young people watching, not only creatives, but young professionals, young entrepreneurs. Don't be afraid to make those early investments because you will see even bigger benefits down the line.
Yeah, make it early too, because you spend less when you make it early than try to make it like you can't do it down the line.
Definitely.
Because you're building your reputation with those early investments. I would prefer to go to a macho event and feel like somebody because of the decor with a place of only 50 people than to show up in a place with 100 people and you're wondering,
is it really working?
Why am I here? Yeah.
Definitely. So just in case you're now, joining us, I have with me, and we're coming live from Studio 4, Samuel Madas. And at this point, I just want to big up some of our sponsors. We have the Little Gift Box GY, Full Service Laundromat. We have MMG, Armagon M&M Snack It, and we want to thank Gordon Mosley for providing this platform for us to stream our show. And I think that we've learned some very crucial insights and principles tonight on how we can ultimately maximize our revenues and our profitability as creatives and as professionals and entrepreneurs in general. I want to ask you now, Sammy, do you think that there are any unique or cultural barriers or cultural things that an artist in Guyana needs to be aware of when it comes to being successful in your field? What is unique about Guyana?
Let me talk about the barriers first. Jamaica can afford to sing about anything they want because Jamaica's culture is known worldwide. So, even if a Jamaican uses a slang that the rest of the world doesn't know, they can go and Google it. Or just from orientation of the Jamaican culture, they could figure it out. Guyanese can't do that because we're not on the world stage. So even as an artist, when you're writing your music and you're making certain references, like, I'm trying to find an example, like you're talking about Backstreet or something, like nobody knows about that.
Yeah.
So you have to tailor your lyrics for the audience that you want to reach and where you want to go. On the flip side, Guyanese we don't have a genre of our own. but we found a way to function in every genre, and subconsciously we put our own twist to it. It's like we do reggae, and Jamaicans would come here and they'd listen to our reggae and say, "Y'all reggae just different." It's because our personality has been put on top of something that's already been established. So we have a fresh sound, a fresh expression. And the Guyanese culture, I talk about the food, I talk about the interaction, I talk about the multi-ethnic environment that Guyana has. It has caused us to have a certain outlook and write a certain way. And I think that we can market that. I think that we can capitalize on that and not try to downplay it. And it's been for decades we've been talking about Guyanese trying to song like the other country. No, we've seen it, people like Azariel and people like DC who just rap Guyanese, chat Guyanese, and people love it. And in the recent years, like Bajan started singing soca music, very Bajan. Sometimes you can't even understand what they're saying, but it's their thing, and their people have jumped behind it. So I think that we should capitalize on that too.
Definitely. And I went Barbados last year, and Bajan music is something to behold, bro. Something to behold. There's some songs that are just ingrained in my memory from just being there for a week. So definitely, I think there's been a major improvement in Guyanese music over the past 3 to 5 years, definitely. And we just want to encourage all artists to continue. I think because of people like yourself, people like Saiku, your standard is so high that it forces the others to come to a certain level, or else you're going to be easily, thrown to the side, because we're accustomed to this level, and if you're not coming up here, then
you can't take it as a discouragement. You have to take it as a challenge.
Yeah.
And as we are money, and you mentioned people like Saiku. So if I can't surround myself with people who think like this, I find myself around people who think like this. People like Saiku, people like Adrian Lal. Whenever I get around these guys don't gossip. These guys don't talk about foolishness. If you sit with them, they talk money.
Definitely.
And they talk about investment. They talk about going far. I remember one night I was sitting with Saiku. We were liming, talking again. And he's like, "Fellas, I gotta go." It's like, "Where you going?" He said, "Boy, I got to study tonight." I was like, a man maybe nearly touching 50 with all these established business, saying, "Bro, I gotta go, man, study." That means he's constantly improving himself. He's constantly looking for avenues that he could better himself, his business, his family, those around him. And so if you want to go somewhere, you got to analyze the people that are around you or the people that you are finding yourself around. Because they either feed or poison you, whatever you want to do. They will kill your vision or they will aid your vision.
Very important remarks coming from Sammy. As we prepare to wrap up, I want to ask you if there's been any moments in your journey thus far, and we're speaking finance and business-wise, that you maybe came from a place of ignorance or a lack of knowledge, and there may have been some business or financial concept that has really resonated with you in this journey thus far. Can you remember any specific advice, finance and business, that you may have been given from an elder, from a businessman, that has shaped your journey thus far in music, and that's gone off like a light bulb in your head?
I remember this was like the year after I dropped royalty, the 2 years after I dropped royalty. Like you said, I was all over the place. Every month, Sammy was somewhere. And for me, that was, at the time, that was the definition of success. I remember Adrian Lal again called me. He's like, "Sammy, bro, you're too seen. You're everywhere." And at the time, I couldn't understand it because, one, when you come from a place of not having a lot, and now you finally have the avenue to make something for yourself, all you seeing is opportunities to make money. And he says, "Sammy, you're being too seen. Pull yourself away." And I didn't understand that the way you grow wealth is become valuable, then become scarce. So So my goal is to make the kind of money that I would make doing 20 shows, doing only 5 shows. So again, I got to value myself, build up the value, and then control people's access to you as an artist. And for those of you who artists that are listening, build your value up and then control where you go. Control who has access to you. Don't be here, there, and everywhere because you're depleting your value. And even if people talk about you, that's fine because everybody will always have an opinion.
I was now coming to that. You just said build your value up and then sometimes, be scarce.
Yeah.
There's a thin line between saturating the market and being scarce. But in Guyana, there's a common criticism that young professionals, young entrepreneurs, young people in general that start to achieve some level of success, they always hit with the, oh, you turn a big shot now.
The rich and switch thing?
You're rich and switch. How do you deal with, family and friends that, may accuse you or may try to label you as such? And how do you overcome, those forms of criticism? Because I've seen it affect some people, They try to, pull away from the lifestyle that they had growing up or the circle they had. Then they've been accused of that and, they want to fit in, so they end up going back and losing everything that they've built. How do you overcome those levels of criticism?
I was very, very affected by it. Especially in the days when, people used to just throw you up on Facebook and talk to you. And that, no filter. I remember I got myself a manager because I wanted somebody to handle my affairs or at least be the go-between for my bookings. And people had mad issues with that because they couldn't call Sammy anymore. I had to call somebody else, which was me also adding value to myself, and people talked about it. And I remember I went to one of my mentors, and I guess because he's a mentor and I respected him, his words had so much weight. He said, Sammy, that's just nice. You gotta learn to filter it out, like when you're looking for a radio station. That's just noise. And it came full circle after my royalty album launch, and I was doing merch and stuff. And Dason from 592Ts, he was the person doing the merch for me, and we had this good working relationship. And then one day, I called him for something or I messaged him for something, and he sent me the number for the person at the office. He said, please contact this person at the office. Bro, I was livid. I was offended. I didn't even know how to handle that. And then I let it marinate for about a day or so, and then I realized that, yeah, maybe this guy has a vision for where he wants to go, and I'm taking up too much of his personal time and his personal space, and it's preventing him from being professional. And so he has put something in place so he doesn't get flustered at the end of the day with 10,000 people calling him. And I shouldn't get offended. And I've lived to see his business grow. And I've adapted that. And I shared it on Facebook because I thought it was so profound. You just do whatever is necessary. Because at the end of the day, the people who have an opinion, they're not putting money in your bank account. They're not sending credit to your phone. They broke. So just make the decisions that are necessary for where you want to go and don't worry about anybody.
Definitely. Very profound. Do what is necessary. But
also, learn to carry people with you. Learn that even in your pursuit of success, well, in your attraction of success, because you don't run down success, you attract it, that you help the people around you to also become successful in whatever way. You're not ultimately responsible for their success, but you plant a seed. You see somebody trying something and they don't have either the knowledge, you sit and talk with them, or they don't have the resources to get something off the ground. While you are still becoming successful, you pay it forward. Definitely. You help people. Yeah.
And I think we've seen that example even in music numerous times. Most of the big artists in terms of the secular world, there was somebody to give them a hand. You think about Drake, Lil Wayne. Literally guided him to where he is. If you think about Jay-Z and Kanye, and you see them paying it forward and you know,
Yeah.
guiding the next generation. So it's very important to not lose where you came from, and also, you know, to give back to your community and be that source, that light to bring others to where you are, and even free them to be bigger and better than you are. Because, you know, it's arguable that Drake is probably surpassed.
You really like Drake?
I just think he has some great business.
He does. I saw
great
a
business.
3-hour-long interview with him. I was blown away.
Yeah, definitely.
But just so you know, half of these things that I be saying, I don't apply it to Guyana. I feel a very, very heavy sense and moral responsibility to the youth of Guyana and to inspire people. So me talking or bargaining about money or whatever, that doesn't apply to Guyana. Most people that call me and say, hey, we got this thing at the school, can you please come? I will go because I want to inspire the youth of my country. That doesn't apply to them. So y'all don't be shy or say, Sammy get too big or anything.
All right, so final remarks. What advice would you give to young creatives watching that, you know, really love music and want to make it in this industry?
Go and study what you want to do and make a very level-headed decision. Whether, like the Bible says, no man goes to build a house until he first sit down and count the cost. Yeah. And it's okay to count the cost and say, nah, that juice ain't worth the squeeze. But if it's worth the squeeze, then buckle down and do it. Even if it doesn't look like it's a space fade right now. Duke Ross, when he was really, really kicking off. Duke Ross came to Paradigm Studio when I was still up the East Coast in his medical wear. He's like, bro, I only got this amount of money. I want to do this. And I remember us looking at him, maybe in his scrubs or whatever it he was wearing. But he had this unique song that he really believed in. Told us, you know, my parents really want me to do this, but I want to do this. And then in the next season of his life, Duke Ross, gone. But if he had quit and decided that, listen, this passion ain't worth it, let me just buckle down and just do whatever I have to do, then he would have never accomplished what he had accomplished. So don't let the inability to see the resources, the inability to see a clear end deter you from what you know is in your heart for you to do.
All right, there you guys have it. Some sage words of advice from our very own Samuel Badass. I want to thank all of Guyana for tuning in tonight to another episode of Common Sense. And I want to encourage you guys to be a part of that wonderful community of young professionals and young entrepreneurs that will be gathered on the 24th of June at the Marriott Hotel for the Economy Business Conference and Mixer. I've announced all of the speakers and all of the panelists. We have some very great people that are going to be in our midst. We have the Honorable Dr. Ashing Singh, who's going to be the headline speaker for that conference. We have a Circle of CEOs panel featuring Mr. Kerwin Ballas from Hits and Jams, Stephen Jacobs from Jacobs Jewelry. We have Mr. Clinton Erling from German's Restaurant, and many other really big names in the business and finance field. So I want to encourage all of our young people, particularly UG students. Tickets cost only $7,000 for you. And you know, those tickets are all inclusive. So you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about drink. We got you covered. Go down to GT&T Giftland Outlet. Go down to the Little Gift Box Full Service Laundromat and get your tickets for the Economy Business Conference that is coming up. And I just want to encourage you guys to don't miss it for anything. To miss it is to diss it. June 24th, Marriott Hotel at 5 p.m. Go get your suits, go get your dresses, and come and just have an amazing night in an amazing atmosphere. And, you know, drink from the wells of wisdom that will be
Drink
available.
from Fruta too.
Yeah, drink from Fruta too. There you go, the marketing guru himself. So I want to thank you, Guyana, for tuning in tonight. And I want to encourage you guys, as I would always say as we leave, don't forget to use your common sense.
I don't think it's any secret, my fascination with collaborations. One of these days, I dream in